All right, we hadn't a chance to ask about your summer experience with Team USA. What did you take away from that?
I learned a lot, just playing with the best of the best. It really, I feel like I really showed my talent, and just seeing all those guys out there competing with each other, just having fun. It was a great experience.
You had a great year last year in left. This year, more right field. Appears to be a little more natural position for you. How's that transition going for you?
Feels good. I feel comfortable. I told Coach Lim it's a better angle of throwing. I feel good. All my steps are quick, better than last year. I feel amazing, and I'm ready to roll.
You lost a couple guys in the outfield, Ledbetter and Clark, but for the most part, it is a younger core with yourself, Hines, Highfield, Mershon. What do you kind of make of that? How you progressed last season, what you can build on going into this season?
Right now, we're just taking it day by day. All the young guys, they're all buying in. I love their work ethic right now. Everybody's just loving on each other and just showing a lot of love.
Connor Hyzak makes a move to center, and this fall it seems like he's having a really good fall. Hit a couple tanks last night. What has been your impressions with him defensively and offensively so far?
Connor, he's still the same guy, just from last year. I don't think he's changed one bit. He's still the same guy, still the same leader as he is, I don't see a change in him.
What makes you confident that this team's going to take kind of a step forward next year? I know we're a long ways away, but based on kind of the roster construction, what makes you confident?
Yeah, right now, like I said, I love everybody. We're all just buying in. I love the energy we're having out here. And it's you can see it, you can feel it. It's a whole different level. I can just feel it.
What are you working on mostly for year two? You flashed a lot of power last year, hits average some days. What are you really focusing on this season at the plate?
Well, right now I'm just focusing on pitch selection. Just trying not to chase the sliders away in the dirt, whatever. But I'll get there.
It appears too that you're a little bit wider in your stance with living a little more of a lag tuck this year. I mean, what are you doing differently at the plate right now?
I feel right there the wider stance. That's my 2K fight. I didn't know people really paid attention to that, but that's the 2K fight. No leg lift. Just trying to play pepper with the ball. You
entered the portal in the offseason, then ultimately decided to come back. Kind of what went into that, and what was that process like, and why did you ultimately decide to stay?
I just love this place. I had all the talks with all the coaches. I just told them I love this place. That was a little mistake, but I wouldn't trade this place for anything.
From your vantage point in practices, what do you think of the pitchers, especially the new guys that come in, how they're throwing in these scrimmages?
Yeah, they're doing pretty good. I went through a little rough little draft right there where I went 0 for 20 against our pitchers, and they let me hear it. And that's what I like. Like I said, the energy level, the intensity. I love it.
Last year, defensively, even in fall camp, the team kind of booted the ball around a little bit, but it seems like just about anything on the ground these days is an automatic out. What are you seeing defensively from the team so far?
A lot more focus. Like my favorite defensive player right now is Logan Kohler. He can pick it. He's our third baseman.
Well, a lot of offense too. We know what we have with Jordan and Hines, obviously, but some newer names. You mentioned Logan Kohler. He's really kind of gotten it back going as of late. How do you feel about the depth of this order?
Yeah, I love it. We still got Ross in there, still got Connor, all those guys. But Logan, you got some freshmen who can really swing it. Guys like Brett House and Mike O'Brien. He's a sleeper. That kid worked his butt off.
Speaking of O'Brien too, he's had the golden jersey a few times. What's made him so special as a younger guy?
He comes out here and he works hard. On defense, he reminds me of a little Jake Mangum on defense. He goes out there and he goes and get it.
So obviously it's been a long journey for you. Maybe take us through that a little bit. It's been a long time since you've been on a competitive mound.
Yes, sir.
Maybe take us through the emotions and the physical part of that.
Yeah. I think the rehab process in general is just really long and kind of grueling. But coming back this fall has been a little bit easier than I expected. Not that I'm coming out and just getting everybody out immediately, but it's just kind of my safe spot to be on the mound. That's where I feel comfortable and feels natural. So through a lot of bullpens, had a lot of practice, and so by the time I got on the mound for the first time, I felt really prepared. And there were a few fans here, and they gave me a nice warm welcome. That was really nice. So it just feels good to be back.
What's your motivation through the tough times when it was really tough to rehab?
That's the Lord, man. I'm real faithful, and God, is my point of reference, and it's just, it just keeps me going every single day. So I'm my head's been in a good spot the whole rehab process for sure.
What impact do you think Justin Parker will make to this program and to you?
I can't even begin to describe Coach Parker. He is unbelievable. He is certainly one of the best pitching coaches I've ever seen in my life. He has turned this pitching staff around. In the past just couple weeks, we've made giant strides, and y'all will see. I don't know if Colby's starting today, but I think he is. That's the best example of it. Colby has turned from a flamethrower guy that clearly has so much potential to he's like very, he's not raw anymore. He's pretty refined. And it's just great to see stuff like that happen to our guys, because we all want it. It's not a lack of want and will. It's just been we've had our struggles these past couple of years, and it's time to turn it around.
Is Parker someone that's more analytically driven, or is he more when you're worried about like kind of the fundamentals and stuff like that?
It's a little bit of both. I think these days you can't look past the analytics. But you can't get too wrapped up in them to where you're not worried about getting outs, because clearly getting outs is the most important thing, and that's what we've struggled with the past couple of years. And honestly, these past couple seasons, we haven't been overly analytical. It's just, we've struggled really badly to get outs, and I think there's a way to combine the both to where you're putting yourself in the best position possible to get everybody out, and that's what we're doing right now, and he's been great about that.
Going off of those struggles, and you mentioned during the rehab process your head just being in the right place, how tough is it when you're injured, just seeing a pitching staff struggle as it was, and knowing they could use help from a guy like you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the toughest part of rehab by a mile. Just especially, I came out in 22 and I was pitching well, and then I got hurt, and the season, of course that was not the only reason why we started doing bad or whatever, but seeing the team struggle is really tough. But at the same time, it gives you the opportunity to become a better leader, better teammate. To stay with the guys through the thick and thin is part of being a good leader and a good teammate. So it gave me the opportunity to learn a lot about just being a great leader. And now I'm prepared, and I feel like I can help the guys get through like bad, adversity and things like that nowadays better because I went through that. So
you mentioned Parker too. That I know the body movement stuff and that kind of stuff he does use a little bit different, but we're also seeing an increase in velo. You're popping the mitt with a little more regularity, and yesterday Durangelo at 98 and Brooks at 96.
Right.
What do you attribute that to?
Well, one of our biggest focuses, and going back to analytics, is not. This isn't exactly analytics, but we're working on moving better. A lot of that's in the weight room, and we're really doing a lot of like plyometric stuff, a lot of jumping, a lot of running, just making our guys better athletes. But a lot of that is also like comfort in our ability to get guys out on the mound. It's just not having to muscle up every pitch, not trusting our stuff. Going up there and thinking that we're better than the hitter gives us a lot of freedom to be able to actually have our best stuff. And in addition to that, obviously learning to move better, it's going to make all of us throw harder, have better stuff. And even if we're not throwing like technically harder velocity wise, our balls are spinning better, we're hitting our spots better, we're executing pitches better, we're walking less people. So it's just been really good these past couple of weeks seeing all that.
With all those changes, just what's the general difference in confidence amongst the entire pitching staff compared to, I guess, this point last year?
Yeah, it's massive. And it's really clear too, especially being in the dugout. Last year I had great seats kind of to see everybody lose confidence. And as this season has started this fall, it's like our pitchers are going out there and it's competitive, and we have guys fist pumping in the fall after a big strikeout or something like that. Guys talking trash to Dakota, and then every now and then it bites us in the butt, but that's how it is. But we're confident, and we think we can get guys out, and that's something that we've really lacked these past couple of years. And it's obviously we know that confidence has been our problem, one of our biggest problems, but you can't just say let's get more confidence, and it just doesn't work like that. So
how big of a difference do you think all of that can make come the start of the season, having that confidence right now?
Yeah, massive. All of us are good enough to play in the SEC. That's the only reason why we're here at Mississippi State in the first place. None of us have bad stuff. We all have good stuff. All of us probably have stuff that's good enough to pitch in the major leagues. A lot of being able to pitch in the SEC is confidence. I think that's part of the reason why I've succeeded a little bit, and I think our guys can only get better in that sense. We've had so much, worry on the mound and fear of failure, and this year it's going to make a massive difference for sure.
You mentioned Colby as somebody who has progressed pretty well this fall. Who else has kind of really stood out to you that's kind of made a leap just throughout these last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, Logan Forsythe's really obvious. He pitched some last season. He's clearly a guy with plus stuff. Throws a crazy riding fastball. His slider's a plus pitch, and I mean those two pitches are both elite. And now he's like minimizing the walks. He's throwing a lot of strikes, and he's going right at people aggressively, trusting his stuff. And he's been like one of the better relievers this fall, I guess. So, that's a guy that's clearly made some strides. But it's really everybody. It's all the starters. Jurangelo, like lefty, has been really obvious. You said he hit 98, which is true righty. Lefty last outing yesterday, I guess he was 92, 93. Great stuff, executed pitches. He's got 4 pitches now lefty, which is a little bit new. But it's great to see everybody getting better. That's what we needed.
Because we've got a long time to get to that point. But what's it going to feel like when you get back on that mound in front of a crowd?
I'm really excited. It's going to be a really good time. I just think about my first outing this fall. I had a little bit of adrenaline going. I can only imagine what it's going to be like in the spring. But pitching in front of however many fans at Duty Noble is my favorite thing in the world. So I'm just really excited.
One more thing about the injuries. I asked Pico this over the summer. I mean, having him, 2 or 3 of you guys sort of going through these year-long rehab process at the same time, just how much easier did that make things knowing you have guys going through the same things you go through?
Yeah, it definitely makes it easier for the other guys. Yeah, I think I was one of the first ones. Me and Landon Sims and I would work off of each other and ask each other questions, making sure we were doing it right. And then now that we've been through that process, and I'm still around, and I'm the oldest guy on the team with TJ, and I can help all the young guys, and then the young guys can help the younger guys that are getting it, and that's actually invaluable. And looking back on the process, if I had somebody that was older than me, like mentoring me through TJ, I probably would have had a little bit easier of a recovery. And now our guys are, I'm very confident in Pico. He's going to come back and do great. And not only because of the mentorship, but obviously his work ethic and our training staff and all that stuff is really going to help him. But the fact that he's got us to look out for him is really going to help him and the other TJ guys for sure.
Just a few weeks in fall ball and now some World Series going on. Just kind of a general overview. What you think?
It's been fun. We get started a little early, so we had to get out here and see what we had. It's been a lot of guys coming back from last year who didn't play. Some newcomers, some a really good freshman class. We feel like some really good portal guys. So it's been fun out here for the last couple of weeks. We've learned a lot. We still got a long way to go, but I'm pleased with what we've done to this point.
Coach, I know you coached the defense last year in fall. Even then, you had some challenges. But this fall, it appears defensively you're playing a lot cleaner. What are your impressions so far?
Yeah, I agree. And that was, for us in the summertime, we felt like we had to become a better defensive team. Actually, I thought last fall we were going to be pretty good. The first so many years here, we've had really good defensive teams. But I like our group right now. We've really spent a lot of time. The middle of the infield's played really well. Logan Kohler here at third base has been a real bright spot defensively. And we knew, when we went into the portal, we wanted a left-handed hitter and we wanted a guy who could defend, and we feel like we got that in him. Our outfield, Dakota's a lot more natural probably in right field. Connor Heisek's been really good out there. And I think one of our biggest areas of growth is catching. I just think we've had to become a better catching team, and it was a lot of things. You see a lot of it, but you don't see a lot of it too in the catching world, and we spent a lot of time there. Coach Cheese has been great with our catchers, and Coach Parker's been a nice help in there too because he's very involved on that.
Staying on Parker, what's from the hire to now? What has really kind of stood out to you about him so far, and what's it been like working with him?
He's been great. It's been very engaging. It's a little different, which is good. We needed a little bit of a change. It's just been a tough, probably 18 months of pitching, and just a lot of different things. Not one person's fault, but Parker's been really good, and just the relationship side with the players has been good too. It's a little bit different teaching right now, and so they're trying to figure it out, but I've been really pleased. He's had to learn a big group. That's been part of it.
Sorry, what did you see? What have you been seeing, I guess, confidence-wise, the difference with the pitchers from last year to this year?
I think, obviously we're really into strikes right now, so I think that's been one of the biggest areas that we knew we had to improve on. What you have to realize with our group last year, there's a lot of new guys, a lot of young guys, very talented young guys, but it's just hard to be young in this league, especially on the mound. And as they kind of took their, the way through the SEC, just so we lost some confidence and everything else. A Durangelo, a Bradley Lofton who's going to throw today, a Kobe Holcomb, a Nate Dome. They were first-year guys in this league, and it just it ate them up a little bit. And we're hoping being the second time around and getting some guys like Stone Simmons back and Brooks Auger back and Pico's on his way back. And so some of those veteran guys, I feel like that could help us as a group.
With the true freshmen that got a lot of time last year, Mershawn, Highfield, Dakota, how have you seen, I guess, their difference in mindset, maybe in a different spot compared to trying to find their way last year and now, right in the middle of everyday stuff?
I think they know what to expect right now. So as you're preparing, that first year you don't realize what you're about to get into. And Bryce Chance was kind of a freshman for us last year, and Ross. I mean, we had a lot of young guys, so they've been back and they've been really good this fall. I mean, they've all been, and Dakota's been obviously he's a special player, but developing into that leadership piece for him.
Talk about Durangelo. Stone said he's added a fourth pitch from the left side. Talk about the kind of offseason he's had.
He went home and trained left-handed. Felt like that was the biggest area he needed help in, so he really worked on the left-handed side. Coach Parks added a couple different tweaks in there, and there's still, I thought last night was his best night he'd had as a left-hander in this program. The stuff was just much better. But yeah, he's, I don't know how many, between him and Schulke, I don't know how many pitches they have.
You were talking about Dakota before. I mean, how special of a player he is and all that stuff. I mean, this offseason obviously entered the portal, but then ended up coming back. How much of a sigh of a relief was that kind of moment for you going through that process, and what's it going to be like for you to see him kind of grow in year two?
Well, it's just sad. It's just, when you see it happen, you're like, it's just the world we're in, and I think it lasted about 12 hours, and he had reached out to us and just, Coach, I grew up here. This is my home, and that was like I said, it was a tough, probably 72 hours for us, but he's such an identity of this program, and I think it was huge he came back, and like I said, he's played great this fall.
Coach, back to catching, when you've got a Ross Highfield, it's tough to go in the portal and get a guy that's really got any value, but Johnny Long appears to be a guy you've hit on. He's had a really good fall. What are your impressions?
Yeah, Johnny's been really good. I mean, it's a real competition between those two right now, and it is when a kid starts. Majority of the time, when you go in the portal kids want to see a path that they can play right away. And Johnny wanted to, come and experience this and be a part of this. And the way he's playing, he's going to add a lot to this because he's plays with a lot of toughness, and he's a veteran guy. He's been around and done it, and he had a really good World Series for us the last couple of days.
What does Stone provide you, not only from being back on the mound standpoint, but leadership-wise?
Well, it's that veteran guy in there too. He's, I look up, and a lot of these guys are 22, 23 years old. I think Kohler may be reaching 24 here soon. So, but with Stone, he's one, we need the arm. We just need that. We need that 40 or 50 innings in a year of a tough guy who's going to go out there and pitch and compete. But also, he's a leader for the pitchers. And we have a lot of new guys over there, and I think he brings that stability to the pitching staff.
You had a couple guys up in Cape Cod this summer. I know Hines played the whole time out there, and I think was Cal Steven out there on the same team too. But what does just playing out there in the Cape, against some of the top summer competition do just going into the fall?
Well, I think he was able to go up there and really work. I mean, I think when he left here, he was frustrated, obviously last season, and had a great summer. Really, you don't realize his spray chart from the summer went from right field for us, and a lot of center field home runs, a lot of balls hitting the gaps through the middle of the field. Got to play defense every day, which I felt was huge too. So, and it's such a wonderful place up there. I want to, unfortunately, a lot of our recruiting's in the Cape now. So I'm in the Cape probably more than I saw more Cape games than I saw high school games this past summer, which is probably not healthy for our industry, but it's what this game has become to.
Coach, close there. I know that was kind of a thing last year. Aaron Nixon, once he got healthy, was your guy. How do you kind of handicap the race right now? And who are the names maybe in contention to be closers?
Man, that's a hard one because you don't know who's starting yet. I think the starting roles are fighting to be, who the starters are, and we probably got 6 really good candidates to start, and then somebody's probably going to flip to the backside. But you got the Stone Simmons, who obviously can close a game. We got Cam Schulke, who was the fireman of the year in junior college baseball. He was the reliever of the year in the Cape Cod League. We're still trying to figure him out because I think he has 12 pitches at this point. I don't know if he needs all 12, but it's funny. He's convinced he does, and I want him to be convinced on the mound. But I think he's a great candidate. But also, like we used him in the World Series, sometimes the the guy at the end of the game may not be important, but the guy comes in the 7th with the bases loaded, and I think he's really a jam guy is what he is. He can get out of jams and throw that sinker and get you out of there. But there's a handful of the other guys that are in the starting contention too that could really help. So I think it's going to be a little bit by committee. Hopefully, we always want to Landon Sims, but at this time of the fall that year, Landon Sims was fighting to be a starter. So that was we felt like we had 2 starters going into opening day, and he pitched great against Texas and became the closer. He kind of went from there. So maybe something in that scenario.
Connor's had a pretty electric fall at the plate. Talk about his kind of impact on the offensive side.
Well, he was probably, him and Bryce Chance, I probably wish I could have traded them for 2 pitchers last year. Going through the spring, we had too many outfielders and not enough on the mound, and he kind of got the raw end of the stick there because he could have probably, he's a really good player. I was worried we were going to lose him this summer. And but he really wanted to come back, wanted to prove it, and wanted to be. And he's a natural center fielder, can really play center field, and there's a lot in there. I mean, he puts a bat on the ball. He's got a lot in there. So, and he's a great base runner. He kind of gives you a couple dynamics. Reminds me of I don't want to put too much pressure on him, but it reminds you of Westberg in a lot of ways. The way he moves and runs and plays around the field. Obviously, Westy was a really special player, but he has some of those qualities too.
You mentioned the recruiting, Kate, and other things. How much does the remaining weeks of fall ball and then your discussions with players factor into your recruiting this fall and then for next season as well?
It's a really crazy dynamic right now, and this will probably be the last time we have early fall. This will probably be when we start next year because the window closes today, and it's been open for about 4 weeks. So we as a staff, I mean, it has just been craziness, recruiting and kids on visits and summer baseball, the portal, and we don't want to build a program off the portal. I mean, we're always going to have guys come in out of the portal. You need a handful every year, but if we're going out and grabbing 10 or 12 every year, I just can't imagine it's healthy, in the long run. I'd rather have great high school players who come here and spend 2 to 3 years with you and really develop and be a part of it. And we've had great portal guys, and we'll continue to, but it's a crazy time right now. It's just not as what it used to be. And it just changed in the last 2 years, probably.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about the Starkville guys. How Ethan Pulliam and Jackson Owen kind of adjusted to
They're
things.
doing good. They're Ethan's been great. I mean, he's learning how to play. We've got him at second. He's had to play a little outfield in this World Series and kind of learning the game a little bit, being a full-time baseball guy out here. But he's been good and swung it well. And Jackson's kind of the same way. Jackson's making some strides behind the plate. He's had some really big at bats. The bats really come along. He's been a good summer out because he went out and was kind of was just okay offensively last year, and we've seen some really big strides there. So he's been good.